In this video, we're going to cover the 6 aggregated functions. These are like key aggregated functions that we use in MDX world. So the count family related functions, which we covered in the previous video, which is the class 38. Maybe you can refer that video as well to know the difference between the count and distinct count functions in the MDX. For this video alone, we will cover only these 6 functions, aggregated functions. One is the sum and average and max and min and top sum and bottom sum. So let's get into the details of the each aggregated function. Um, have you, before we go into the details, have you ever come across why you need these aggregated functions? Because the cube is already aggregating the data, right? So based on your selection, it's already aggregating, right? Why do you want to do the use the sum or average function, right? So at least to me, in my mind, it came up when I start learning this MDX, but later it's clarified automatically as in I start working on more details way in the MDX. um, to put it simply, right, so generally on our normal MDX query, let's say, so this is your MDX query, okay, and here you get reseller sales amount for all product categories, right? But my requirement is, out of this all product categories, I want to fetch only the only the grand total of the Canada and United States country, and I want to define the different measure. How do I do it? So, I mean, to do that aggregation, that's the where we use our aggregated functions like sum, average, max, or min, and all these top sum, bottom sum functions. Okay, so that is the main purpose. So you aggregate the data based on specified member, and then you can, create a new calculated member within the MDX. So now let's execute the second query. Here I use the sum function. What I'm doing here, I have a reseller sales amount. That is my original column. Along with that, I have defined the one more calculated member, which is saying that North America. Basically, it's a North America reseller sales amount. While I'm calculating this North America reseller sales amount, I specifically mention the Canada and United States countries and their respective sales amount. And now, so what will happen? How this function works, whichever the slicer you apply here, right? So now in this scenario, so we are trying to bring product category information, right? All product category information. So for this product category information, it's always bring the only Canada and United States reseller sales amount and put it under the North America measure. That's how it works. So let me execute. Oh, I think already executed. So you can see here. Let's say if we go further and just to understand more detailed way. So instead of product category, now what I'll do, I'll take the product category instead of all members. What I do simply, I will filter the data for bikes. Okay, now let me execute this. What happened? Why it's not coming? Okay, I think maybe it's in number format, I guess. Let me drag from here. So yeah, as I suspected, so instead of bikes, we need to give as a number. Okay, now I execute this. Now you can see here, I got the bikes information for all the countries. So when I say all the countries, in the sense, you can check all the countries information here under the country. So under the country, we have Australia, Canada, France, Germany, United Kingdom, and United States. Whatever you see under the reseller sales amount, it fetch all the 6 countries information for the bikes. But for North America measure, since we mentioned that only aggregate the Canada and United States reseller sales amount and display it. Now whatever you see here, this value is only belongs to the Canada and United States. Right. So whatever we created the calculated member here with any aggregated function, so that primarily whatever we use the inside filter, it will take that as a precedence and do the aggregation. On top of that aggregation, if at all we apply any additional, new, I mean, different names, I mean, different members or different dimension attributes and different filters, it will further slice the data based on our selection. Okay, so this is how the aggregated function works. So now we just completed the sum with that standpoint. Now moving on to the average. So average function, as you already know, that average is it will take the total individual values divided by count of your total values. That's how the average function average aggregator works. Now let's execute this query, and just I want to highlight some bit here. Okay, so if you carefully observe, I have a reseller sales amount and also I have a reseller sales amount convert to empty sales. Right, so wherever null, it's I converted to zero by using the Kolaski empty function. So uh, what does the Kolaski empty function? It will convert null values to your specified number. Okay, so why I'm doing this? Because taking the null records and taking the zero records, it influence your average calculation. Okay, you can see here that the first measure average sales amount, right? Here I'm not doing any Kolaski. Okay, so Kolas is empty function. As it is, I'm using the all the values and I got the average value, average sales amount is 248.70. That's the dollar value. And then if I use the Kolaski empty, wherever I have null values, I convert it to zero and then I take the average value. This is how I got the value. So basically, the average function is omitting the null values and calculating the average sales amount. But when I convert them into zero, right, so they are part of your average calculation and your overall average sales amount, including the empty sales into your calculation, it's change your average value. So that's the one carefully you need to take that into account. So whenever you do these average calculation or standard deviation or variance, so you need to be careful and you need to validate which are the values are coming. But sum and all, so sum anyway it will omit the null, right? And even if you take it as a zero, sum of zero with other values, it's a behave like a null, right? So for some level you won't see the problem, but average level you will see this problem. Okay, so that's about average. Now moving on, so max and min function. So I don't need to specifically tell you about it, how what is the max and what is the min. So basically it will bring the your max values for chosen specified members. Okay, in here the first query what I'm doing, I'm calculating the max sell value where my passing the all product categories and their respective gross profit. Okay, and on top of it I'm doing the filter of if at all my gross profit is less than or equal to zero. Okay, now let's see what will happen. You can see here, so all your max sell value is populated to your product along with your gross profit. Okay, so I mean since you use the product as a filter here, right, as a filter, that's the reason it's duplicating the max sell value for all the products. Okay, even not only that, you can also uh, take the max value by using the, I mean, in this statement I use the filter condition, but here again I use the different having function to arrive the same results. But yeah, it will fetch the so here what I'm doing, so all my null values converted to zero. That is the one thing I did for the gross profit. And then I filter out the data. So wherever you have this particular Kolaski is less than zero, that new measure, right? So if it is less than or equal to zero, uh, bring the value from there. I think, yeah, so I think it's all null values since I converted as a zero. and I'm using the gross profit including less than 0, and then it's bringing the this value, max sell value. Okay, less than or equal to, I'm using here, I'm using the less than or equal to, and here I'm using the less than 0. Okay, why it's converted all the gross profit. Okay, max sell, max here. Okay, and gross profit is taking the 0. I think it seems some problem. I think, yeah, it should not be the 0. We should get the negative values. Okay, and all the products I'm taking here, and based on this measure, and then we are filtering the gross include. Okay, what is the gross include that we are getting here? Let me add that so that we'll see the values further. Okay, so here we are taking less than or equal to 0, and then here we are taking the max sell, max gross profit include, and wherever you have having less than 0 at for this product level, then it should come all these values. But it, in fact, it's coming, but max sell, why it's showing the 0? I think there is a problem here. Yeah, so I don't want to waste your time. Let's move on. But yeah, so this is how the max function works. Okay, based on your filter condition or having function condition, you can bring the max value. Now similar case for the minimum value. So even minimum value also we do the same thing. So based on your specified dimension attribute and then respective measure, and you can apply, take the minimum value from the your results. I mean any measure or anything, you can do that. So you will get it those records. Okay, so since here again I bought the minimum value from here, and so here is the 0.803 is the minimum value. That's the uh, yeah, smallest value that you find in the result set. And the same thing for the second query. I think here also we'll get it 0 say greater than 0, but why? So I don't see anything. Yeah, some problem with the second statement. Probably we can troubleshoot later. So but yeah, the context is max and min. It will bring the max value and minimum value from the result set. Now the next one is the top sum and the bottom sum. Okay, so top sum basically it is a handy when you want to do some threshold checks. Let's say uh, you have a target of 100 million sales, right? So out of 100 million, I mean, that's your target. Within that 100 million sales, maybe if you take like your top performers who are purchasing your products, right? If you take top five customers whose sales value is equals to the 100 million, so you can take them, and then you can say your threshold is achieved. Okay, uh, right? So now the same way the top sum will work. Let me get some examples more so that let me take one example in Excel and show you what exactly the top sum will do. Okay, let me exclude the non-empty, I mean null records from here, so that we can will be excluding those unused values. Okay, now here I take entire this data and put it in my Excel file. Let me open the Excel file, and then I'll bring the Excel file here and paste the data. That's the result set, and this is the city name. Okay, so now what I do, I'll sort the data, okay, from largest to smallest. Now what is my requirement is, okay, if you look at here, okay, if you look at here, let me adjust this window. So yeah, if you look at here, I want to reach this threshold, which is my okay, how much, yeah, this number, by summing up my reseller sales amount for list of cities. So how many cities, if I take the reseller sales amount, which will be equal to this value. So let's see, right? Now here I started, okay, and you can see here I came till row number 7, which is the Richmond city. If I sum it up, these 7 cities sales, which is coming 9494742, but my threshold is here, which is 9494743. So it's not reaching. So that means I need to take the value still here so that it will reach this threshold. It's fine if it is the above my threshold, that's fine. But if I sum it up all these, 7 cities sales amount, then I'm reaching my threshold value, right? So this is my reference value. Okay, even if I take, change this to 10,000. Okay, sorry, not 10,000. I'm wrong. Okay, now here, how do I pronounce? Yeah, if I want to bring 10 millions. Okay, now let's see what will happen. Okay. Oh, by the way, I didn't executed the results right previously. Control Z. Okay. Now if I execute this query, the top sum query, what will happen? You see those 7 records, which we just sum it up here, right? So all these 7 cities, if you sum it up, the reseller sales amount, which will reach our threshold. Okay. Even if you change this to 10 million, okay, but still you get only these 7 cities because we have a good amount, right? So uh, yeah, so after summing up those cities reseller sales amount, it's coming as 10,482,000, right? So yeah, but if I go and say 11 million, then this time it will add one more city, okay? Because to reach that threshold, I need to add one more city, which is the Montreal. Okay, so now if you're summing up all those 8 cities, I'm getting my threshold. Okay, so this is how the top sum works. So the thing here that you need to mention the syntax. If you look at the top sum, first you pass the set expression, which is your dimension attribute, and then your threshold value. What is your top sum that you are expecting, and then your numeric expression. Numeric expression is nothing but your measure. Okay, and the same way how the top sum worked, right, same way the bottom sum will work the same, everything is same, but in the top sum we take in the values from largest to smallest, but when you go bottom sum, then it will take from the smallest to largest. Okay, let's say to arrive that this one, to arrive is how much, 100K, how many customers we need to join, that we can check. Okay, so to arrive that 100K, probably we need to, oh, we crossed already. Yeah, so we need to have the 53 cities and their sales amount. If we take that, then it will reach to our bottom sum threshold. Okay, now you can see here, this is where I'm getting the 100K sales amount. Now let's execute this particular query, then you'll get all your I think, yeah, 54 cities it fetched, because that's the where when you sum it up all these cities sales amount, it's matched to your threshold. Okay, so this is how the top sum and bottom sum works, especially in the finance department. We use more top sum and bottom sum to see who are our top customers and bottom customers, which are equivalent to their buckets. They have some buckets, 100 million buckets, 200 million buckets. So to bring that 200 million bucket, how many customers sum I'll take it, then we will use top sum to pick those customers details. Okay, so this is about top sum and bottom sum usage, and that's all about these 6 aggregated functions. And then we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.